And we're back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today, where we'll be talking about Caribbean and World Statistics Day. Joining me via Zoom this morning, we have Diana Castillo Trejo, who is the Acting Director General at the Statistical Institute of Belize, and we have Miriam Willoughby, who is the Acting Deputy Director General at SIB as well. Good morning, ladies.
Hey, good morning, Marlene.
And thank you for joining us. And I should say today's Caribbean Statistics Day?
Yes, that's correct. Today is Caribbean Statistics Day, and today we're kicking off what is going to be Statistics Week for us. We're observing almost an entire week of events, virtual events, to celebrate Caribbean Statistics Day, which is today, and World Statistics Day, which comes up next week on the 20th.
Now, you know, everybody's commemoration of awareness days have had to take a major shift due to the pandemic. And it is very important that we understand the data that is collected through SIB. So how do you plan to do your promotional activities?
So Statistics Week will be celebrated virtually because of the pandemic. So starting today, persons can visit our Facebook page, and we've posted recorded messages from our Director General as well as various other data producers. We have the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Central Bank, to name a few, and they'll be talking about the importance of statistics, the statistics that they produce for planning and for making informed decisions. Tomorrow, we will be having a virtual exhibition. Normally, we would have done this at a location where we invite various data producers, but because we're doing this virtually, so starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, we will feature statistics produced by various organizations in Belize, including the SIB. So we hope that people tune into that. And then next week, Monday and Tuesday, the 19th and the 20th, we will be making virtual presentations to schools across the country. Again, we want to highlight what the SIB does, the statistics that we produce, and importantly, how to access the statistics that we produce. So we'll be highlighting our website a lot in those presentations. And then to commemorate World Statistics Day, which is October the 20th, as was mentioned, we will be having again on our Facebook page some important messages from some of our international partners in statistics, including Statistics Canada, that we work very closely with, and the CARICOM Secretariat. So those are the activities basically virtually that we'll be doing over the next week.
You know, it's such a great opportunity, I think, for people to realize the amount of data that has been collected and produced locally and, of course, globally as well. I think that if I could get Diana in here to talk about some of the information, some of the collection gathering that has been ongoing, and just the capacity to be able, or how do you get the interest to grow in seeking out this data?
Okay, well, you know, as we've been here with you many times to talk about our various offerings. So, you know, you're probably well familiar with the ones that we regularly do. We do our economic statistics, you know, our gross domestic product, or inflation rate statistics, or external trade statistics, labor force statistics. We also do statistics on sort of on an on-demand basis for various clients. So we work along with UNICEF around every 5 years, you know, to conduct the mixed survey, from which there is a whole range of social indicators pertaining specifically to women and children. So, you know, there is a lot that we are offering in terms of available statistics that is constantly, you know, there. Freely available to all our data users. Now, generating interest, that's the challenge, as you can imagine. So we take opportunities such as this. We take opportunities such as, you know, whenever we have our quarterly press conferences and we have the chance to speak with the media and to speak with the public about it, to kind of build some awareness, to educate a little bit about what we do, about how important it is, to have statistics that can be trusted. And well, the theme for Statistics Day and World Statistics Day is exactly that, connecting the world with data that we can trust. And that's very, very important, especially in a time like this when, to the kinds of decisions that need to be made, the kinds of actions that need to be taken are very much guided by good quality, timely data.
That's right. I mean, this is a time where we are paying attention to numbers all the time, and as you clearly pointed out, and I know a part of your theme there is it's really to help people make and help decision makers make data-driven decisions. The SIB has been very involved in the pandemic response as well. I know it was supposed to be the big census year that got postponed very early on. But tell us about what you and your team have been doing to supplement the work of the different ministries.
Right. So as you said, census got postponed very early this year. For us, we were actually very well into the census preparation process. We were already starting one of our second round of training. However, it was in the best interest of the country, and we immediately made ourselves available to support in whatever way. As I said, having good quality information is very important to the COVID response effort. So we worked closely with the Ministry of Health to develop for them and with them some applications to support their contact tracing efforts and their monitoring efforts. And from there, we continued working with the government. And at this time, we're working along with CITO and the Ministry of Tourism on a number of applications that have been supporting the reopening of the airport and the return of persons traveling back to Belize. So, all the online applications that persons need to go to a website and fill out their information or download an app, and you need to have that before you come in. The SIB has been working with our partners in the government to develop these. Our IT department is a very strong one. We've been working on developing and building up that department for years now in preparation for the census. And so we thought it was only right that these extensive resources that we have invested in be put to use right now when it's really, really needed.
And we're hoping that our census will take place in May of next year. Even though, as Diana mentioned, we were well into training already, we want to relaunch the publicity campaign, the recruitment campaign in November, December of this year, and then start our training. We have to do this all over because of the time that has elapsed. So we're really hoping to do enumeration starting May of next year. So we continue with our preparations, and we hope that will materialize next year.
Yeah. It's absolutely important data that we do need to have. Of course, it happens every 10 years, so data from 2010 seems so obsolete at this point. But you are, in fact, doing collecting other data, and I know you're currently doing your labor force, or you've concluded your labor force survey. When will we see those numbers?
Right. We just completed data collection for our labor force survey. We're processing that information right now. We will be releasing the findings in our November press conference, November 25th. Mm-hmm. So that's when we'll be releasing it. And we're very much interested to see what the findings will be. I mean, we hear on the news every day about persons applying for the unemployment relief program. So we want to see what effect the pandemic has had on the labor market. So we have included some questions in the labor force survey to capture that. So we're very anxious to see what those results would be, what the unemployment rate will be at this time.
Us too. It's going to give us such a better picture as to the impact of COVID-19 on people's employment status as well. When that data is released, and much like previous labor force surveys, people are very critical of those numbers. And so it ties you right back to your theme, which is looking at having data that people can trust. If I am in a situation where I hear of more unemployed people than employed, and your employment statistics say that unemployment is down, it doesn't fit the narrative as to what surrounds me. How do you try to help people build that trust in the data that you have?
Well, it's very unlikely that it will be done, but
I know. I'm just saying, for example,
yes,
yeah.
Hypothetically, yes.
Yeah.
Well, what we do, we're very transparent with the process, and
Yeah.
there's guidelines, international guidelines that we have to follow. We do apply the rules of the principles of producing statistics, fundamental statistics. There are about 10 principles that we have to follow.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the relevance of statistics, that it has to be comprehensive, it has to be accurate, it has to be reliable, it has to be accessible, and then it talks about confidentiality of information. So it's just making the whole process, and you'll hear at the press conference, we explain what the terms mean, what the definitions mean, how we define employed, how we define unemployed. And we're following international standards, and that's how we're certain that the information that we produce is accurate.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, trust goes beyond just whether or not you have done it according to international standards. It's more perception based. What do you find in the wider Belizean public? Do you find that there is trust within the data that you produce?
I think that we have found that to a large extent, the trust is something that has to be built. And we've worked on building up that trust for several years now. And we are finding that our users and the public are coming around to trust that. I mean, it is always difficult when a piece of objective statistical information is published that goes against what someone perceives to be happening around them, or what the conventional wisdom is about what is happening in the country. But that's why it's so important that you have an objective source such as the SIB that does, the information we collect and the information we produce and publish is done according to very specific guidelines and very specific standards, so that we know that over time our unemployment rate is calculated the same way. Some years back when we had an unemployment rate of 16%, the methodology is the same as a couple years back when it was far lower than that. And it's important to have that consistency, to have that quality, and to maintain, despite what perceptions might be, maintain that commitment to keeping the quality as it is. And we do open ourselves up, to scrutiny. As Miriam said, we try to be very transparent about the way that we do our statistics. We also have opened up ourselves over the past couple of years to scrutiny from some of our international partners, to reviewing our methodology, to pinpointing maybe areas where we can improve and working on those. Because for us, we really highly value, the quality of the statistics that are produced. It's very important to us that what we publish, more important than that it reflects, what necessarily perceptions might be. It's more important that it is good information, because good information is very, very vital to making good decisions.
Yeah. And what's the situation in other regions or across the world? Is with a theme that is focused on trust, is there a trust issue that's ongoing?
The challenges that we face are challenges that are faced by, our counterparts in all countries. Right now, the U.S. Census Bureau is having their own challenges in terms of perception and in terms of, how they're going about doing their census in the midst of all of this. So it's common. It's a common struggle, I suppose, that our counterparts all over the world face. And so, hence the reason for the establishment of World Statistics Day, and in our region, Caribbean Statistics Day, just to give us an opportunity to reach out and to share, not just with our regular data users, but with the public in general, what we do and why it's important and how you can use it. And we do have that commitment to producing information that is relevant and is of high quality. We have added this year a couple of additional surveys to our regular roster of surveys. At this time, we're piloting a business survey, a short survey of businesses to determine the types of impacts that businesses have suffered or have felt due to COVID-19. we're also preparing or hoping to conduct in November a couple of other surveys, one relating to food insecurity that we want to do in partnership with the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. And there's another survey that we are organizing along with UNICEF. And these are not part of our regular schedule of surveys, but there are things that we think are important and that very relevant information can come out of it right now.
Yeah. So taking the opportunity of this week to highlight the work that you do, you mentioned earlier that one of the challenges that you face is getting people to have the interest, to want to see the data and understand the data. And I know over the course of time that we've had you guys here, you've moved into the direction of producing data in a way that makes it easier for us non-statisticians to understand better. Your infographics, I think, are really great at being able to paint the picture. What are some of what's the progress that you've made when you release this type of data? Are you finding better awareness of what you're producing? Is it helping to get the interest generated that you spoke of?
Well, I think it helps a lot, the infographics that we produce so that people can easily understand the numbers. We try to pick out what the major points are and highlight those points rather than trying to look at a bunch of numbers in a table. So infographics is definitely an area that we've improved on. And as we're adding the GIS component to it, then we'll be able to display this information on maps graphically so that people can also find it easier to understand. So that's an area that we continue to work on, because we do realize that sometimes people get intimidated by the numbers and then they lose interest in it. So our job is to try to to tell the story behind the number and make it quite easily to understand.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about other ways that people can join in the commemoration of Caribbean Statistics Day, Belize Statistics Week, and World Statistics Day.
Well, as I mentioned, it will be virtually because of the pandemic. So a lot of the activities will be via our Facebook page. So we really encourage people to visit that our Facebook page. And just to reiterate some of the activities that I mentioned earlier, we have a message from our Director General on our Facebook page today, along with messages from other data producers in the country. Speaking about the importance of statistics for planning and for decision making. As I mentioned, tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m., we do have a virtual exhibition where we will be highlighting and featuring the most recent statistics from other major producers. Statistics Week is really about highlighting statistics from all data producers, not just what the SIB produces, but all data producers. So we're very thankful that they were able to participate in this virtual commemoration of both occasions. And then, as I mentioned, next week, Monday and Tuesday, we will be doing virtual presentations to various schools across the country. And we want to highlight what the SIB does, the type of data that we produce, and the accessibility to data. As students, you have research papers from time to time to do. So we want to make it easy for you. Where do you find information? So we really want to highlight the use of our website and our different data portals. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for data if you're doing research, right? And then on World Statistics Day, like I mentioned, we will have recorded messages as well from some of our international partners that will be speaking to the theme of this year's celebrations.
Well, I'm always fascinated when I have you guys as guests, because you always bring some new information, and I think that understanding the landscape, we're very much guided by kind of just our own experience, but when we look at the numbers, we can then know with certainty what it is that we're facing. And so I can't let you ladies leave without telling me, I know Diana, you've answered this question for me before, maybe you have something new. Of the recent data you've collected, what's stood out the most? What's the statistic that you're looking at this moment that you really wish people would pay attention to or make note of?
Well, I think for me, if I look at the last labor force, which is an area that I've been working in for some time now,
Yeah.
the percentage of females that are entering the labor force, we see that keep increasing. Over the last 2 years, I believe, we saw that it grew from about 60% of working age, from 50% to 60% of working age female entering the labor force. Most of them finding employment, most of them being self-employed. So I always think that's interesting to follow in terms of trend to see how that continues. And we also see that most of them that are employed are actually underemployed, meaning that they work less than 35 hours a week. So for me, that's always something interesting that we keep keeping an eye on.
Nice. All right. And for you, Dana?
Well, for me, like Miriam, my area is economic statistics, and that's one that I always do keep an eye on. And our economic statistics so far this year have been very eye-opening. I think that they're very consistent with what was expected, but seeing it in numbers, for our last gross domestic product, we had a quarterly decline of almost 25%. It was like 23 point something percent. That is huge. Yeah. It's huge when you consider, the size of our economy, the degree to which not just our imports, but also our exports have declined very significantly so far this year. Yeah. Those are things that I think need to be kept an eye on. So far, prices seem to be stable overall, but it kind of underlying beneath that is some kind of rising prices in the area of food and housing, which of course these are things that we cannot do without. If the prices go up, we suffer them, whereas if prices fall in things like hotels and airfare, we can do without those. So I think it's important to keep an eye on our economic statistics and not just on the overall number, but maybe to take a look at what lies beneath it and the details that contribute to it.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. And of course, all of the data that you speak of and much more. I mean, I think you have some really interesting stuff on your website. If people go to sib.org.bz, they can venture into finding out something new about the data that's been collected from the Statistical Institute. Thank you very much. And, best of luck with your commemoration of Caribbean and World Statistic Day.
Thank you too.
All right. Thank you, Stay safe, ladies.
Yes, same to you.
All right.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we are going to be talking about the commemoration now of Prenatal and Infant Loss Awareness Month. We're going to be joined by representatives of Wings of Mind Belize. Please stay tuned.